Well, welcome everybody to another edition of UFO Encounters. Hello there, Roger. How you doing there, Russ?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Grizzly. How are you?
Doing wonderful. So what is on everybody's agenda today for a Saturday? Hello, Dee Crosley. Welcome, Dee, to another edition. Yes. So, how are you feeling there, Russ?
Oh, you don't want to know. Yeah, I've got infected arthritis.
Oh.
Medication, and so I went out. Something I just cannot believe what happened. I was looking at my camera,
right?
Because I've been catching. I told you, I've been catching some unbelievable stuff,
right?
Sort of like, and so I'm looking on. I've got two set up, but only one camera. Anyway, to cut a long story short, I'm waiting for a new camera coming, you see. And I went outside, and it was really late on because I'm thinking it's not working. I'd only picked the wrong mobile phone up, right? So I'm
Right.
outside, 3 o'clock in the morning. My sister comes, oh, why is this door open? So she locked the door. Started raining. I was locked out for half an hour. She'd gone to bed. I'm trying to, Jill, I'm out,
Unbelievable.
sort of like, shut up. And I said, it's me. So soaked through. So anyway, I've not been 100% after that. But anyway, so talking about CCTV cameras, as the chap that was, now then, I forgot his name now. He was talking about cameras the other night, and he was saying, like when you use video cameras, and especially these CCTV cameras, that you get used to them and you know what's what. Sort of like when you're using them, you can usually tell, whether it's bugs. And I told you, remember, I said about spiders and spiders' webs and strange things months ago. And what I'd been looking at was something. I sent you some clips of this, just the actual pictures, if you remember. And what it is, there's two. I told you there's like these two things which are meandering about up and down and going right up away from the screen, coming back down. And this object lights up and it comes down, and these two things have been, and it seems to swallow it. And when it gets to the bottom, it seems to spit these two things out. Now, the thing is, I've been saying was I had it all set up to do this on Monday when I got a virus. As you know, tonight I've had mega problems, even on this computer. So I wanted to show this footage because it is the most bizarre thing. Now, like he says, I've said to other people, could be, no, it's not. Could be spiders' webs. No, it can't be. Okay, then. Sort of like, and we've got to, even though we're investigators, we might have had things happen to us, we might have been abducted. We've got to stop kidding ourselves if there's something that's there that there's a possible explanation for, which isn't out of the ordinary. Strange, but now not exactly out of the ordinary, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
There's some people, and as educated as they are, and what have you, they seem to think that everything they're filming, there's a few people, and you can tell them, and they don't want to listen. What about yours? And I'm telling you about mine. This has happened, and it's amazing, but I'm sure it's a spider that's come down, right? And the other things, definitely very strange. And there's rods that fly past. Nobody knows yet exactly 100% what rods are, because they seem to go from between 60,000 miles, is it, an hour, right? Yeah. And they're the size from a few feet to 100 feet in length and longer. So there's no insects that big flying around at that speed, is there?
Right.
And if there is, I wouldn't like to bump into one, would you?
No.
Right. You know what I'm saying? We've got to be objective, even though something's happened to us, right? Yeah. And we've got to look at other possibilities before we can say it's definite. We've got to start looking at, well, let's just see what it could be. And I totally agree with the chap, what he said on your show, when he said, sort of like, he tells people, well, I think it could be this. Could be wrong, could be right. I could be wrong. I could be right. We're still, but common sense sometimes doesn't prevail. When there is a good explanation for these things, you know what I mean? And if something is so small and minuscule in the sky, you know what I mean? Sort of like flipping it could be anything, but as it is, these cameras are fixed lenses. They can't zoom in. So when anything is done, it's always got to be zoomed in after the effect. That means when somebody's taken an image of it, then they can blow the image up, which is no good. It's no good. You've got to blow the image of the object. You've got to blow the object up to a certain degree, right?
Right.
If you see what I mean, to get a clearer picture, to get better resolution and everything. And I think some people are just not doing this. I've put stuff up and people will say, and yeah, I think you could be right there. If I know something is 100%, I will say, look, I've looked at every possibility. This could be something, strange, but something that could happen that's a normal phenomenon under different circumstances, and sort of like, and leave it at that, sort of like. But it's a case of some people just want everything to be the real thing. And it's not only in UFOs, I think it's with ghosts as well, sort of like it's, can you see this? Well, I'm pretty good at seeing stuff. And if I can't see it, well, having said that, I think my eyes are starting to go. So I could be mistaken. You know what I mean? But I'm not an expert, but there is no experts. That's just it. And the problem is, and this is what I'm trying to explain, and you'll know about this being in the constabulary, which is that when you get somebody going to court, they'll use an expert witness, yeah? And usually if it's for footage of photographic evidence, mugshots and all that sort of thing, CCTV cameras, etc., they'll get an expert witness in from the electronic imaging department and photographic department, yeah? Now, I've worked alongside these people over the years. In fact, I was one of the first to actually pay somebody to come and look at footage when I set a group up about 25 years ago, longer, right?
Right.
Got a professor in, and we're having a look, and now this is a big problem, that you could get two people with the same degrees, right? You could get 5 people, you could get 10 people, and you could give them one video, right? So if all of them know what they're talking about and they've got the same what do you call it on the computer, they've got the same software on the computer, right? That means that they should all have the same answer.
Not necessarily. I mean,
well, yeah, because if it's something,
because you're going off of people's opinions.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, if the technology is there, and they're using technology, and they've all got the same degrees and everything.
Well,
then,
we can use that as an attorneys. I can take a law statue, and ask 5 attorneys that statue and probably get 5 different answers.
Right. So do you see my problem now? Do you see the problem? That you can give an expert a video footage means nothing. Because you could get another expert that'll come alongside him. He might say, seeing that footage, Yeah. Nothing. It was, it could be anything. They might say sun reflecting. It might be
Once
something else.
again,
But,
it's their opinion.
yeah. So this is a big problem now. You see the big problem that I have with experts. Because the problem is, you can bring the experts along, and really, they know as much as the next person. The only real person that knows, right, is a person that is filming. The person who's filming the evidence is a person that knows. There's only one problem. There's one problem with that, which I've come across over the years, being an investigator, looking to find out the truth, right? Yeah. And searching. And I was told by a friend, and he says, what you're bothering asking other people for and looking, you'll know what happened to you. You videoed your evidence. And he says, I know you, Russ, and I know what you're saying is true. He said, but I know the people. And he says, he said, sometimes they do not want to tell exactly what they're seeing. That, you know what I mean? In other words, not everybody it tells you what the videoed is 100% true. Right, yeah? You've got to be careful of this. And some people will film something and they will know 100%. And this is what you'll get, you'll get these, like perfectly good areas, and they're filming, and you'll get something that has been zoomed in so much and it's pixelated, and especially if you get these digital zooms. Problem with digital zooms is, right, yeah, they make everything, when you look back and you're zooming in, everything goes to squares, right? What you need is optical. Digital zoom's no good. You need optical zoom. So that means you can actually zoom in with your lens and get a clear picture rather than zooming in with digital, because digital zooming is not very good. It pixelates where your optical doesn't. So just in case anybody's listening and you're thinking what kind of cameras to get and what have you, and you don't, I mean, some of these phones now are fantastic, but now we're getting a problem, because you've got some of these phones and it clearly states they can make movies on them, right? Special effects. You know what I mean? No. So what I like to do personally is I like to film with you. Usually, the only problem is now, the Sony night vision, the ones with that you put the tapes in, right? Because what you've got there, you've got two things. You've got a master, right? Yeah. So you can save the master, and then you can put it to your computer. The only problem is with them, it's like you've got to buy a load of cables and sockets. Now, on all the new computers now, there's nothing. It's like everything you've got to send to your computer. You know what I mean? Which is a pity. It's a pity.
Well, I want to add to what you're saying too. So let's define an expert, right? So when you're talking about footage,
yeah,
okay. When I say somebody's an expert in let's say recording and filming and reviewing footage,
Yeah.
I expect somebody to have years in encountering filming bugs, recording mist,
Yeah.
water droplets.
Yeah. Exactly.
This way, when they see other footage, they know what is a spider,
Yeah.
which is a spider web, and so forth, and they can explain that, right?
Yeah.
So that way, when they do encounter something that is unknown or different phenomenon, they can say, "Wait a minute, this is something different. This is
Yeah.
something that I've never encountered. This is extraordinary. This is different."
Yeah.
And this is where stuff like this comes into play. So uh, that's where I say is where people need to learn. Just like in investigating ghost.
Yeah.
When you ghost hunt, there's a difference between moisture in the air.
Yeah.
There's a difference between dust particles as orbs,
Yeah.
moisture as orbs, right? Water droplets. And you have to learn the phenomenon to learn to distinguish the
Yeah.
difference between those when you are recording or taking photographs.
That's right.
Because
Yeah.
if you don't, you're going to be in that mindset. Every picture you take, it's going to be an orb, or it's going to be a spirit or ectoplasm or
Yeah.
something along those lines. And you're going to think that you caught phenomenon, which you have not.
Exactly.
So you got to be
Exactly.
careful.
You have. Yeah. So the problem is when you're checking it out, just make sure you tell your sister, I'm outside checking this and what have you, and don't lock me out for an hour, half an hour.
Yeah, right, right.
But the thing is, sort of like some of the things what these things can catch, like you say. I mean, I was busy, sort of like I was watching a film, and I have my camera on, and I'm basically watching it, And I seen these things shooting across, and I'm thinking, flipping heck. But I turned my sound down. Now, if I'd have turned my sound down, I would have realised straight away. Raining. Unbelievable, you know what I mean? I'm looking at it, goes to the door. Raining, you know what I mean? Sort of like it was obvious, really. You know what I mean?
Right.
Snowing again. Even when it's like you say, you can call it mist, fog, sort of like, and it'll pick things up. So I'm out. Now, the problem is, Grizzly, right? Yeah. Problem is, I'm, this is where I managed to smash a brand new camera. Yeah. I'm messing around, I should say, phone camera, right? Yeah. So I'm messing about looking at my camera, videoing, right? And what have I got in my other hand? Night vision, right? Yeah. I've got a Sony. So I took the small night vision camera instead of the bigger one. With the SD cards. I don't like them as good, but they're the fastest way to take something after you're filmed and to put
Right.
it straight into your computer, right? Yeah, or whatever. So I'm looking up and looking to see, theoretically speaking, now this stands to reason, right? Yeah, if a night vision camera is picking something up in that area, when I've got my other night vision camera, what should it be seeing?
And theoretically, if it's using the same technology, the same object.
Yeah. Problem is, it wasn't. Now I'm just trying to. I was trying to type and ask the chap, why is this? You know what I mean? Why is this? Why is it if you've got a static camera, CCTV camera with night vision, right? Yeah, with infrared, and you've got an Handycam, right? Yeah, with infrared, and I'm looking at something, and I was so shocked, I dropped my damn phone, didn't I?
Wow.
And I just heard this, it's a nasty sound, something going, and I'm thinking, please don't be my screen. Oh yeah, it was the screen, all right. So anyway, but the point is, it was a little bit of a shock thinking, well, I just can't understand this. Is it because there's a different rate? Because you can add the different rates, like when the filming, the speed and what have you. Is it because of that, the speed?
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
that's why I'm saying it's really going to depend on, the frames per, the technology, the frames per second and everything. So,
yeah. But the thing is, realistically speaking, I would have thought as soon as I, sort of like, I didn't zoom in, I just left it fixed. Right, yeah, like a fixed lens. So I just looked up and I in the same direction, and I'm looking, sort of like, and that's oh no, bang. That's when I dropped it. So very costly. Problem was, well, sort of like, so you've got to do this. You've got to go out and you've got to test, haven't you? You know what I mean? You got to basically look and see, sort of like what's going on, sort of like and draw comparisons and what have you, and that's the only way you can do these things. Like you said before, you've got to be out there and you've got to film and know what you're filming and the conditions and what's affecting the camera and but like I say, once I get these computers sorted out next week, I'm gonna have to have somebody come have a look at them both and my phone with this virus, I think, and then basically what I was supposed to be doing, because with StreamYard, if you put them on what do you call it, on your computer, right, in a line, and then you just go to each one. If they're open already and you just click on, you can bring it up, you can actually see, you know what I mean?
right.
So I've done everything. I said to you last week, I said, I'm going to get this, sorted it all out, and then bang, this happens, sort of like on like, I think it was Tuesday, so I'm thinking brilliant. So
Yeah.
anyway, but yeah, so not everything, like you say, people looking at orbs and what have you, which is funny because I'd seen a couple of images of like orbs which I was sent years ago, and the funny thing is, and it's like you were saying earlier, it was a chap in Scotland, and it was near a big lake. So what you're getting is, what's it called now? Is it something participation?
Right.
It's the moisture in the atmosphere. This might
like the
sound
dew.
like. Say again, sorry.
Like the dew.
Yeah, yeah. Even when it's clear, you will still get, and especially if it's clear, because when it heats up, that's the other thing that affects it as well. You know, sort of like, because these things sort of like can rise. You know what I mean? Sort of like, you can't see it, but it's like moisture rising, and that causes it, you know. So, I mean, I'm not trying to debunk. I'm debunking my own. If I'm debunking anybody's, I'm debunking mine, saying, look at this. You know, sort of like, I can't make out this. This is odd. So I might have to send a video over to him and see what he thinks, because the thing is, if it were a spider and these two things are flying around and have been up in the sky, it looks like it swallows them. Well, I'm thinking, well, they must be small if a spider, it's a big spider comes down, and then it looks like after it's come down where they were, and it's gone down, it's like behind it, and I'm thinking to myself, that's odd. What did he do? Spit those two things out, you know?
Well, and that's the thing, right? A lot of people that's never experienced these debunctions, right?
Yeah.
And they capture things, don't know what they capture.
No.
They assume that it's paranormal or UFO related, and they run with it. And people that's been filming that actually been in the same boat before or prior thought they had the same thing, then realize, oh, this is what it was, realize that no, it's not. You know, they're out there trying to educate people
Yeah.
on their videos. They're not trying to hurt people's feelings. They're just letting them know that no, it's not what you have. This is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, they're not. And he even said, "I'm not trying to put you down. I'm
No.
not trying to
No.
ruin your feelings or hurt your feelings. But what you have is not what you think."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, totally agree. You know, and I was taken back because, I mean, I've been filming with all sorts of different cameras now. You know, sort of like I've got 4 big cameras, which are the Sony Handycams, which are the tape format. 8mm tape and what have you. But I've got these new SD cards, and like I say, they're brilliant. Problem is, you can't really with the reel, the tape, you can see if it's been messed about with more than anything on a tape. You know what I mean? Excuse me.
yeah, and then see, and that's another problem we have now is today with the technology we have with CGI, AI, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Even with the mobile phones and the
Yeah,
software,
exactly.
you can fake pretty much anything anymore. So we're seeing that a lot with photographs, no matter what field you're in, whether it's UFOs, whether it's cryptids, whether it's the paranormal field. They are producing photographs that look like that is something they captured when it is not.
Yeah.
So, that's another thing, that the hoaxes are out there. Yeah. So,
Definitely.
you
I mean,
know,
when it says that, this camera can make a film which is, sort of like better than the first, I can't mention the film, but a film which is a war in space with good and bad. When it says this can film something of that standard, but today's quality, it says it all, doesn't it? It can put all sorts of ships out there and all sorts of, and you think, well, I'll stick to my old cameras.
and
That's why I use my old cameras.
And I think this is where the so-called experts will come into play, to where they can try to break down and analyze the video or photograph to see it's been tampered with,
Yeah.
right? Forensically. That's the part
I
to
mean,
where,
the problem is, Grizzly, is this, right? Yeah. The same kind of operation what we'd have looking into, say, for instance, video footage of cryptids or ghosts or UFOs, aliens, the police will be using, right? Yeah, and the military, right? Now, the thing is, sort of like, it's getting to the point now where even they're saying that they can't tell, right? Some of this, what do you call it? Is it artificial intelligence, right?
right.
Don't you think that's a worry as a ex-law enforcement? That,
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is a concern. Absolutely.
hell, it's more than a concern. It's wow. I mean, to be quite honest, we've seen people and footage, sometimes get put away with maybe dodgy evidence and stuff. But what about if somebody's got a lot of money and they want to do something and they don't want to go to prison, right? Yeah. And, the cameras say have come along, say not now, but say next 5 or 10 years down the line, that's going to be a minefield for law enforcement, for all these people that are, becoming expert witnesses in electro imaging and what have you. Sort of like, what the heck's that going to be like? If it's bad enough now to start off with. And I always say, there's something that I always say, which I can never understand this, right? Yeah. Of all the cameras everywhere, and we've got more cameras watching us in the UK, right? Yeah, than anywhere in the world, and you better believe that, right? But yeah, we can't catch murders and rapists, right? What we're getting are people parking in areas where they're not supposed to park, and people speeding. Think about it. Yeah. True crime. Yeah. What is true crime? It's not people that have been hurt, injured, murdered, and raped. It's what you call the money, as we would say. But yeah, so it's gonna. I think it's gonna go. In the next 5-10 years, it's gonna be a minefield. Because, like we just discussed earlier, you can have 5, 10 people, expert witnesses, and when it comes down to it, it's their opinion.
Yeah, I do believe that.
It's
And
a little bit
it's sad.
in a court, right? Yeah. Well, I can tell you now, not being pedantic or whatever, I know some people, and I've heard people over the years say that they've been, and they had to go to court, as when you get called, to sit on jury service, we call it. I won't have some of these people in my house. I won't have them near my house. And these people are judging somebody. How does that work? Wow. Don't say a lot. When you think about it, sort of like, some people, well, I'm thinking, you've been in a court and what have you, and you sort of, wow. Don't say a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, it is a subject, no matter what phenomenon field that you belong to or believe in,
Yeah.
it's always going to be tainted. Uh, we always say in the cryptid world, your footage is never going to be good enough, or your evidence is never going to be good enough,
No.
uh, because of the technology out there. Everybody's always going to think it's going to be a hoax or a fake or something.
Yeah.
So and the reason to believe that is because of all the fakes and phonies that are out there, and because the technology is available to produce it, like you say,
Yeah.
and in people that enjoy fooling people to try to make a dollar is out there. The people that try to pull the wool over everybody's eyes to say they got the $1 million shot or the $1 million evidence or whatever is out there, and they will try to top it each and every time, and it's sad.
Well, to be
And
honest, Grizzly, I can tell you, I can stop you there and say, I'm sorry, mate, but there's only certain people you talk about making money and out of, these people in the media, right? Yeah, will not pay for any images, right? Yeah, very, very rare. And if they do, you're lucky. You're lucky, right? I've always shared mine and given mine over years. There's only certain lots of people making money in the subject of paranormal UFOs and what have you. And I see on the television, and it's the same lot, and it's one about UFOs mostly. And I see the same lot all the time. And they're the only ones making anybody making money.
well, it's
No.
not only that, but it's also how many millions of hits I can get off YouTube too, right?
This is this is it. You see, like I was told, like go YouTube and TikTok and what have you. And it's like the reason for that, really, if you look at the reality of things, is that the normal shows on TV, which is appalling to say, you've got maybe 200 channels and you're paying, say, like $60 a month to watch your TV and what have you. I think I first got a certain, I won't mention it, but a certain TV company that you get like all your channels. And I got it for music channel, I'll be honest with you, sort of like for all rock and everything. And now I think these companies are realizing that people are not watching TV as such anymore. They're using the televisions and they're going to apps and they're going onto YouTube or other mediums, you know what I mean? So media sorry. Excuse me. Excuse me. And what they're doing now, if you've noticed, a lot of their shows are going from the normal terrestrial to the YouTube and and other medias. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you've got them trying to capture the audience and the market. I mean, um, it's been a strange week with things that have happened and some requests what I've had, and um, yeah, I have. Yeah, I have got cold. I've had it for a month. Sorry about that. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so even that media is changing. You know what I mean? They're trying to catch up. But the thing is, you're doing it better. Right, yeah? Because the only thing is they've got channel behind them, channel behind them. You know, like we have channels, you know, like you have stations, channels. And the thing is, they're really trying to catch up because they know that ghost hunting and UFOs are a big thing. The problem is they've got people, some of the people, and sort of like, and I'm thinking they'll never see any. Well, I won't be rude, but they ain't going to see anything. You know, sort of like, you know, no matter what they do, and they go out there, you know, sort of like, and there's some people that can, you know, and the thing is, when you've had it happen live on your show, you know, like, and nobody can dispute the fact when we were watching the show, when the hand came, it didn't come from behind. When it came and did that, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like undisputed. I mean, I saw laughing myself. No, surely not. You know what I mean? And the thing is, you know, it's like that happened. And that happened live when we were watching. You know what I mean? And nobody can take it. You know, I mean, that was one of the best things I've seen for a long time. You know?
Yeah.
But you know, I think, like I said, they're trying to catch up. You know, sort of like you know, but it's when you're doing it like you've been doing it, and I've been doing it for a while. You know, sort of like it says a lot. Having said that, you know, sort of like I'm going to have to really move my backside and start showing evidence and clips and stuff, you know, more. And, you know, sort of like, again, this week, we've been, you know, looking at what's going to happen, you know, sort of like on the moon. Again, there's, you know, that hasn't stopped the moon business, you know, sort of like, and now there's the asteroid that they've looked at, and it's nearly all metal, you know. And again, people are saying, is it all metal because it's some kind of craft, you know? But something to think about, right? Yeah. Does it have to be metal? Does an alien craft actually have to be metal?
No,
You know?
because some of our spy planes are not metal.
No, they're not. No. No. So, you know, it's against, they can go up very high, can't they? You know? Like stratosphere, you know? So,
Eric wants to know, are you talking about Black Knight?
no. I still haven't got, to be honest, Eric, I haven't got my head around that. I still have not got my head around that. You know? Sorry, I just missed that.
No, he was telling Tammy, he said he should become a nurse, and he was like, I almost became a doctor. In a kilt.
In a kilt?
In a kilt.
No, please.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
So,
We won't go there.
they're saying that meteor is supposed to have elements off the periodic table.
What has? The kilt?
No, the meteor. Yeah, well, man,
My
we say
bloody head's not
killed, everybody's
working right.
mind goes into the ditch. But no, they're saying that the metal from that meteor is supposed to have elements off the periodic table that's not even on the periodic table. I meant.
Right, I see. Yeah. Well, no, well, it won't have. I mean, if it's something come from the far reaches of the universe or galaxy, where maybe sort of like planets and things that have sort of evolved there differently, there will be different. But being blown with the Big Bang Theory, that's if you believe the Big Bang Theory. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because if you look at it realistically, the Big Bang Theory is two nothings made of something, and a something and a nothing hit something, hit each other, and then it created the bang. You know what I mean? Well, I suppose it. Yeah,
And
I
space
suppose
is supposed to be infinite too.
Well, yeah, there is no. That's why you get like, and again, we're going back to tribes, and we're going back to these standing stones, and what the heck do you call them now? They've got tops on them. Oh,
Pyramids?
say again?
Pyramids?
No, they're like standing stones, and they've got a top. Is it dollar? Oh, I forgot how to pronounce the word. I know it, but and what it is on a lot of these stones all around the world, you're getting all these carved. Like you'll get swirl patterns and what have you, and you'll get sort of like crosses, and you'll get all sorts of, and they all have a meaning. But when you get the swirls, and then you get like a snake biting its tail, what it is it's never ending. If you see what I mean, and so they were thinking infinite universe, never ending. A bit like, I think it's what you have now with that 8 upside down, what a certain company uses, meaning
Infinity, yeah.
Infinity, yeah. So it's like, but all of these, sort of like the sort of like all over the world, all these carvings are all over the world, and sort of like this is thousands of years old, trying to so, and again, like you say, in a lot of the temples, but in what do you call it, like in Egypt and South America. But what about the temples that haven't been found, or that have been found, what we've been told about? Like, for instance, over, I think in Czechoslovakia, in Romania, Eastern Europe, in China, there's a good school of thought what they're saying. I need a nurse. Is that what he said?
Yeah, with the kilt.
Oh dear. Stop it. Oh, dear me. I would, yeah. I was thinking of a famous rock band with somebody wearing one, but he wore shorts, right? Short shorts and what have you. Never mind. Fantastic guitarist out of a band. I better not say. And I think he was from Scotland originally, from Australia, but Scotland. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, so there's been some strange things this week, and trying to sit down and look at all this footage and to put it to show you tonight, and all of a sudden this happens. and what have you, with me two laptops and 2 mobile phones. So I think I know what happened, but anyway. And I think one of it's computer error as well. Me try to put something right, and I think I've made things worse. So anyway, yeah. So looking to look at some footage, hopefully, and show some footage and see what people think. And show different things. Sort of like what, and see what people think, because people deserve to see and look at, like extraordinary things that are extraordinary, but maybe not what you first think, if you see what I mean.
Right.
But well, that's what I'm thinking anyway. Sort of like not wanting to fool anybody or whatever. Now the thing is, what happens when you're talking to somebody who's in this subject and what have you, of looking at images, and they say one thing 1 minute, and then somebody comes along
You got that kilt on your mind.
No. Where was I now? Yeah. So yeah, so the problem is I've come across somebody who told me one thing 1 minute, and then somebody who was in ufology went and spoke to this chap, and I'd already had dealings with him, and it stopped me from getting my images out and what have you. And the next thing, he'd actually been and spoken to this chap. And when I went back and asking about some footage, well, it could be anything, I suppose. And what? It could be something blowing, as you can see, with wind. I said, it's blowing the wind. If you look at the trees there blowing to the right, the object's moving to the left. I said, how can it be being blown by the wind when it's in the opposite direction? Oh, yeah, I see. I picked all my files up and walked out of that office. And I never went back and used that person ever again.
Yeah.
So what's going on? What is going on, Chris? Grizzly, it is one of these things where, have you had a look yet?
No, look at all of them.
Oh, no, I'm going to say.
Even the micros in there.
Wow.
So
that's going to take you some time.
Yes.
It really is. But it'll be worth it. I mean, I tried to explain to somebody. Right, yeah, listen to this. We want some of the best footage. Right, yeah? Have you got any footage of aliens? Now, the problem is, do people realise just how hard it is to come across a picture of a UFO? Now, I know people, sort of like film them occasionally, but, really, even today, there's not that many people filming them, is there?
No.
Not really. Not really. I mean, they're supposed to be, sort of like all these people, what I've been reading in the news, we're awash with UFO sightings in the UK. Sightings like never before. Well, I'm looking at quite a lot of UFOs, and I'm not reporting anymore because I was the person that people were reporting to. Sort of like, and after being messed about with and having problems, like with my sight and what have you, attacked, all the time. Just it was not worth having a site for UFO reports, putting back up and what have you. You know what I mean? So I decided, you know something, I film enough of my own. I don't need, you know what I mean? But the problem is, and this is a big problem, we need to know just how many has been seen and what is going on. So it is valuable, really. It's valuable that people are watching and reporting, because, you know, we need to know, is it on an increase? Are there coming more? Where they're being seen? We need to look at the areas. But, you know, some people, you know, like contacting us and asking us, you know, have you got anything, you know, real close? And, you know, and I try to explain to them, do you know how hard it is? It ain't for me, I can go out and what have you, but I'm sick of going out, even if it's for an hour and getting wet through, cold, coming back, and then spending 3 months then back on medication with my hips bust again and what have you. You know what I mean? Sort of like with this bleeding arthritis. No. Summertime is okay, yeah, you know what I mean? But now, when it's clear nights and stuff, and it's quiet and there's nobody about, the problem is you've got the added bonus of the winter months. And I'm afraid I'm not doing that, I don't think, for anybody.
Right.
You know, this is the whole idea, you know, Grizzly, of putting the camera up, in it, you know. But the thing is, you know when you've got something. I've seen a chap, and unfortunately, he's over in Manchester in UK, and I'm watching videos go over his house, and I can hear sound of these things flying past his house. And I've never seen anything like it. And they're not aircraft, and they are UFOs. And they'll stop, and then they'll reverse back. They'll go behind a chimney, come out over the side of a chimney on top of a roof, and then go back, and then shoot off at horrendous speeds, you know. So it's nothing that you can't put it down as a glitch in the camera. You can't put it down, you know, as it's an aircraft. It is a craft of some kind, but when you see what it does, I've never seen any craft apart from some of these, you know, like Harriers and, you know, jump jets that can move and stop and then go backwards. This, there's no stopping and starting. It's sort of like, it's like one movement. You know, it goes, and when it stops, sort of thing, it just goes back and then zooms off. And you're thinking to yourself, and then two things, you'll see one object, and then you'll see then split up into two and go in two different directions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff out there. And like I say, you know, I think we do need to know what's going on. You know, we do need to know what's going on. We need to know where these areas of importance are as well, which I'm going to be talking about areas of importance as well, you know, next time, you know. And do you get areas where there's a lot of activity, where there's been wars, accidents, where there's people, you know, died or been murdered? You know?
Yeah.
Which is a big question, because I've come up against a few areas like this, you know. As for the cryptids, Grizzly, you know, sort of like on Facebook, I keep on seeing, you know, some amazing stories about people that have claimed that you know, there's like people more or less being murdered. You know what I mean? Sort of like they're finding bodies, and they're being told to shut up because, you know, it's not like with a bullet or with a knife, but it looks like someone's being pulled to pieces and bitten. You know what I mean, sort of thing.
Right.
So have you been coming across this yourself?
Yeah, they're just calling them animal attacks, but you know they're not saying what's causing them.
Is it this? Is it the same old, the bear?
They either wild animals or a bear, yes.
Wow.
And we can talk about that a little further on Monday's show.
Yeah, definitely. And so will you be looking at your images?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do as soon as I get done after the show and eat.
Right then, Grizzly. Has been sorry about the connection and the problem that I had tonight.
We got it fixed, so we're good.
I don't know, but yeah. So I hope that you've got some good footage there.
Yeah. We'll wait and see. If not, I got plan B, ladies and gentlemen. So
I don't want to know what. I hope plan B's got nothing to do with somebody in a kilt.
No, absolutely not. If it is, it's Eric.
Oh my goodness. Oh dear.
But from coast to coast and around the world, we'll catch you on Sunday show at 6.
Take care. All the best. I hope it goes great for you.
I'll let you know. Bye, everybody.
Definitely. I'll be watching later.
All right. Bye-bye.
Good night.